And now, from the CFTK-TV studios, this is Open Connection with your host, Robert Pictou.
Welcome to Open Connection. I'm your host, Robert Pictou. Founded in 1913 as the divisional headquarters of the Grand Trunk Pacific Railway, the community of Smithers took its name from Sir Alfred Smithers, the chairperson of the board of directors of the railway. On today's Open Connection, we open our archives to bring you this story from 1988.
They're an unusual bunch. Some people would even say they're not quite right. And they're everywhere. On every continent that boasts any kind of mountainous terrain, you'll find this creature called the skier. And it's no different here in the Northwest. Take Hudson Bay Mountain in Smithers, for example. As long as there's snow, there will be skiers. And it doesn't really matter what kind of snow, as long as it's on the ground. No matter what the weather decides, freezing winds, blowing snow, or sub-zero temperatures, the true skier will not flinch, remaining undaunted in the search for that perfect run. And that accounts for the outlandish costumes they wear. Skiers can be identified by their style of dress, which includes an assortment of colorful items. When it comes to the outer garments, the brighter the better. And although warmth is a consideration, it's also important to look good. You know, sort of racy. That explains the sleek-fitting pants, the racing striped jackets, and headgear reminiscent of the NASA space program. And speaking of astronauts, those boots worn by skiers look like they should be on the moon. But they're not as heavy or cumbersome as they look. Ski equipment has come a long way from the days of the lace-up boot and the heavy wooden ski thanks to modern technology. Not only are today's skis made of sophisticated materials, they look like they could actually take flight. Well, come to think of it, they often do. But that's not everything. Don't forget the insulated gloves, sometimes a challenge just to put on. The long underwear, the ski sweater, the ski socks, the ski wax, the ski lessons. Purchase a ski pass and now you're ready to hit the slopes. Figuratively speaking, that is. This particular day, we visited Hudson Bay Mountain to get a closer look at these skiing creatures. When you consider the nature of the sport, sliding down a steep vertical covered in snowy bumps and trees, the margin for error must be fairly large. And keeping an eye on the unpredictable skier is the man with the yellow cross, the symbol of the ski patrol. It's his job to help prevent accidents and attend to people who may need help.
Depends on the snow conditions. If there's good snow conditions, there's no problem. But when there's bad snow conditions, people get lost and they go exploring on foggy days and they end up in the gulch and we have to go find them.
Try and educate people a little bit then.
Try to educate them, yeah. Just use a little common sense when you're skiing, for sure.
Not surprisingly, fear doesn't seem to be a characteristic common to the skiing human. At the top of the fearless list is, of course, the young ski racer, easily identified by the crash helmet and brightly colored tight-fitting suit with a stretch capacity that challenges the imagination. And the racer is used to a challenge, thriving in a world of speed and competition. These young racers from across northern BC are pushing themselves to the limit, hoping to edge out the competition and go on to bigger races. Fear doesn't seem to be a factor, at least not for the kids. But what about their parents? Do they worry about the obvious danger of the sport?
Yes, I don't particularly like to watch them race downhill. I do. I kind of hold my breath. I go down the hill with them and through the gates but I still tell them before the race, you got to go for it.
So it's not something you think about too much.
No, I'd rather not.
Comes with the territory.
That's right, it does. If you're going to win, you've got to go fast. And you have to take chances.
Not only is there a certain element of danger for these human dive bombers, it's also a costly undertaking to get involved in the racing circuit. But as far as Al Collison is concerned, the race program his son and daughter are involved in is an investment that's worth every penny.
I like the program because it is a real character builder for all the kids. It gives them team spirit, and they really do not have any time to get into trouble. They're either studying, or they're training, or they're traveling, or they're racing. And yes, it is expensive, but as one of our parents, who is a lawyer, says to me, it's cheaper than hiring a lawyer.
Although not everyone has the desire or ability to maneuver through giant slalom gates at breakneck speeds, the ski bug can hit anyone at any time. Taking a look around the ski hill, we see that skiers come in all sizes, shapes, and ages.
Open Connection will be right back after these messages. And now, from the CFTK-TV studios, this is Open Connection with your host, Robert Pictou.
Thank you for staying with us. In 1969, Hudson Bay Mountain purchased a French contraption, a portable ski lift known as Baby Telski. Powered by a Volkswagen engine, the 2,000-foot-long lift featured a 1/4-inch aircraft cable that hauled skiers uphill after they hooked themselves to a flexible tee. Let us return to the archives to hear from staff members.
In fact, they're downright good-natured about their work.
Sure, why not? Get to be with people and sending them up the hill to have fun.
Do you ski?
Yep, every chance I get.
Do you get much of a chance to ski?
Yeah, I get about an hour break every day.
Is that enough?
Well, not really. I'm up here on my days off too, so it's
So
great.
this is a good deal because you get to ski for free.
Yeah, and you get to meet people and have fun. And
Doesn't it get to you sometimes, though? You're the one at the bottom of the hill sending everybody up to do what you'd love to be doing.
It's kind of great actually because you can find out the condition of the runs and find out which runs are really good by asking the people and talking to them. And then you find out which runs are the best and you go and ski those runs, right? So you do the best you can in an hour.
Ski Smithers General Manager John Curry attributes the friendliness of his staff to a BC government-sponsored program called Superhost.
And we're one of the only ski areas in the province now they're doing this, but all our staff must go through the Superhost program. And what it is, they're taught to meet the customers and how to deal with customers, etc. And we found this to be a very advantageous how they perform on their job.
So they're basically just learning how to effectively deal with the public.
That's exactly what it is.
Those familiar with the ski area 14 miles west of Smithers will notice a few changes this year, with both the upper chalet and rental shop sporting a fresh paint job.
We've speeded up the T-bar about 24%, which has been just excellent for the skier because it is about a 6-minute run now, which is a lot easier to ride. And we've done summer slope grooming, summer maintenance. We made quite a few improvements inside the interior of the chalet, such as new rugs in the lounge and also in the cafeteria, some little curtains in the cafeteria, and mainly painted the whole building, the whole inside of the building. And we've worked on the water system this year, so hopefully our water system problems have been solved and things are looking very positive that way.
Ski Smithers will also very likely experience some positive effects from the closure of Kitsim-Kalem Mountain near Terrace. The plan was to move the buildings, chairlift, and other equipment from Kitsim-Kalem to the new ski hill at Shames Mountain. Since Shames didn't get off the ground this year for financial reasons, Hudson Bay Mountain is the only ski area in the region with the exception of Mount Hayes in Prince Rupert. And Curry hopes to see more skiers from across the Northwest as a result.
Well, hopefully we get a very good impact from it. At the same time, we'd like to see Shames get going because Shames does produce new skiers, and I'm sure that the skiers will drop off from the western areas just because they don't have the local ski area to ski at. And I'm sure, with some work that Shames will be open within the next year or two anyway.
Because this is the thing that it's not, ski hills don't compete against each other. They want to see more ski hills in the area, is that right?
Well, yes, because what's happening, it may hurt us the first year, like I said before, but at the same time, it's going to produce new skiers, and the local population is very important, let's say, of Terrace or Kitimat, to bring along new skiers, and they'll travel, and vice versa. People will go from Smithers to visit Shames, so I'm sure in the long run, it'll work out very well for both parties.
But apart from being the only game in town, what else does Hudson Bay Mountain have to offer? Why should skiers travel fair distances for the chance to shoosh the slopes in Smithers?
Well, one thing, you just look outside at the view. It's great that way if you can on the normal day when it's nice and beautiful. But I think the other thing is the snow conditions. The snow conditions we get here are very consistent. I believe right now we're one of the only areas in the whole province that are in operation with good snow. And Sure, it's still a little bit marginal on the chair side, but with another snowfall or two, it's going to be excellent skiing again.
When you really think about it, skiing is a crazy sport. People pay a lot of money for expensive clothing, expensive equipment, not to mention lift passes. They brave sometimes brutal weather conditions, all just to slide around on a couple of boards. I wonder why they do it.
It's fun. It's great.
What's fun about it?
Well, it's just, I really don't know, like, you have to ski to it to believe it. I mean, people that haven't skied before, they don't know what they're missing.
Why do I ski? Because it's great. I like it.
What's great about it?
Wow, Rose, I'm glad it's you.
What is so great about this sport?
Fresh air and sunshine, right?
What is the big attraction for skiing for you?
Pretty girls like this. It's exciting.
What's exciting about it?
Speed.
It's fun.
What's fun about it? What kind of fun? Some people like
Going fast?
You like fast?
Yeah. Well, it's a fun sport.
What's fun about it?
Well, because I like to go on the jumps.
Are you a good skier?
Yep. Well, because it's... I don't know, I like to slide and frack out and stuff. Because I like it.
Why?
Because it's fun.
What's fun about it?
You get to do jumps.
What's the big attraction for you?
Powder.
What's so great about powder?
Well, you kind of feel free in it. Deep snow, no untracked snow, nobody in front of it. It's all yours.
Completely different world.
I'm already in my own world, yeah, when I ski.
What is it about skiing that you love so much?
Going fast downhill. Isn't that what it's all about?
Oh, it's just exhilarating being in the fresh air. It's just great. It's a great sensation going down with the speed. Not that much speed, mind you, for my age, but it's great. We enjoy it. And we have a cabin here, so we really enjoy it.
Well, I think mainly it's the outdoors. People want, they have leisure time and they want the recreational aspect of it, try to keep in shape. And skiing does that. And skiing, you can go out and you're all by yourself and run all by yourself and enjoy life. And that's what it's all about. And I think that's why people do ski.
It's great. It's
Feeling.
I don't know, being free, sort of. Being on the mountain, I like being on the mountain, the snow and stuff.
Oh, it beats housework.
It's like flying an airplane. You're free. You get up to the top of a hill in an untracked powder meadow, and you can just float down through the powder, and it's just beautiful. And on our mountain here, we have a lot of days where the whole valley is clouded in, and it's just like being in a plane when you go out of Terrace or go out of Smithers in 737 on a cloudy day, and all of a sudden you break out into the sun. Well, we're up here in the sun skiing, and it is just superb. It's just a feeling that a lot of people will never, ever have, but it's a real mountain high.
Open Connection will be right back after these messages. And now, from the CFTK-TV studios, this is Open Connection with your host, Robert Pictou.
Welcome back to Open Connection. Inspired by equipment used by paratroopers in World War II, the fit of the safety harness meant that workers no longer had to worry about falling correctly if an accident were to happen. Let us return to the archives as highway worker Neil Gallagher shares his story.
Because then next thing I know, I'm airborne. I don't remember tripping or anything. And from what I heard, the guy I was working with told me to let go or something, but I don't remember that. And I just didn't know I was airborne, and then just away I went. I don't know how I...
And so you fell about 50 feet and then you landed?
Yeah, and then from what I understand, I got up, and a piece of angle iron came down from the bridge and hit me across the back and sent me tumbling again. And from what I understand, I went a total of about 250 feet to the bottom, almost to the bottom of the canyon.
Do you remember falling?
Yeah. I remember the whole thing, all the way down. Just up, tumbling, tumbling, tumbling. The weird part is how part way down, I saw the water once, and I was wondering, well, geez, what am I going to do when I hit the water? You know? But I never made it that far, so I didn't worry about it. The last part, I guess, I went over in a little small cliff about 30 feet, and ended up straight on my back, and that's where I stayed.
What thoughts were running through your mind when you were tumbling and tumbling?
This hurts. It's all. You don't, not worried about dying or anything. This is hurt, this is ridiculous. I wish this would stop or something.
And when he finally did come to a stop, all he could think about was the soreness in every part of his body.
And then one guy I was working with, Fred, he was the first one down at the very bottom there. And I guess I asked him what happened. And he said, well, you just fell off the bridge. And I looked at him and I said, bullshit. And he says, well, look up. The bridge is way up there still, eh? I don't remember telling him that, but that's the story I heard that I told him.
Neil spent a week in the intensive care unit after having his ruptured spleen removed. And now, well on the road to recovery, he feels fortunate to have only a few broken ribs and bruises to contend with.
I feel I'm lucky to be alive, yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. Especially feeling the way I am right now, like just the broken ribs and no broken legs or arms or anything, no broken neck or back, brain damage or anything, you know. Oh, I'll take one good crack on the head and really even think about it. Just not my time, I guess.
Neil is now concentrating on getting back on his feet and back to work. And depending on what the Ministry of Highways decides, that could mean he might find himself working once again on the bridge that almost claimed his life.
The Hagwilget suspension bridge over the Bulkley River near Hazelton and the view from it are staggering. But while it presents an attraction that draws busloads of tourists, not everyone is completely taken with the bridge. The Village Council of Hazelton, a community that depends on that bridge for access to Highway 16, has been pushing for a modern two-lane structure.
Well, the new crossing that we want won't actually be over Hagwilget Canyon. It will be downstream a bit from this and go more towards South Hazelton. This bridge we have been worried about for a long time because we realized that the loads that were presently being hauled over it were far in excess of what the bridge was built to stand. And so we've been asking for a long time that it be made safe. When Highways finally came in and investigated, they found that indeed it was in bad shape and promised that this spring we would have the repairs done, the necessary refurbishing and strengthening done, as well as having our other crossing be put on a high priority list. Because of lack of steel or probably too short a time to organize a project that like this became, they haven't been able to do the work this spring. And so here we are, faced with a whole summer of waiting again and worrying all the time about just exactly what day this bridge is going to fall in when the big logging truck just is the last straw on the camel's back. And it's just becoming such a nuisance to us because it's forever having to be closed and fixed and closed and fixed, and it disrupts every community that uses it in this area.
Open Connection will be right back after these messages. And now, from the CFTK-TV studios, this is Open Connection with your host, Robert Pictou.
Built by Chief Charles of Hagwilget in the late 1880s, the present-day Hagwilget Bridge is the most recent version of the canyon crossing. In this final segment of Open Connection, we return to the archives to discover how many versions there were.
This suspension bridge was built more than 50 years ago, but is by no means the only structure that spanned the canyon. Doug Aberle is administrator for the village and has familiarized himself with the history of crossings at Hagwilget.
As far as we know, there's been 5. In 1872, when the first photographer came through here, he took a picture of a bridge made by the Giksan and the Wet'suwet'en peoples, and it's just up the canyon from the present site. It was made entirely of cedar trees and tied together with cedar rope. It was a terror bridge, the first explorers called it. After the 1860s, when the Collins Overland Telegraph came through here, the bridge at the same site was heavied up with the telegraph cable that was abandoned when the telegraph line was, made inoperative. And then in the early 1900s, there was another bridge built down the canyon, and that was because of the mines that were in the Hazelton area. The ore wagons would come through off the mountains through 2 Mile and down onto a bridge that was quite low to the water. And the horses couldn't pull the heavy ore wagons back up the canyon. So a little while later, they built a rather narrow bridge at this site. And it was just wide enough for a wagon, and it was scary as can be. From what I gather, it swayed back, 10 feet back and forth in the wind with horses, and quite dangerous. So that bridge was, in the early 1930s, taken out and put in at Walcott as a footbridge. And in the early 1930s, they built the present bridge, all out of steel, and it's been here ever since.
Aberley adds the first known bridge, one built by the native people, was a structure well ahead of its time.
So that first Indian bridge, I should add, was a combination cantilever and suspension span. The native people had developed technology in bridge building that was unknown in Europe up until in the 1900s. So they were quite advanced in their desire to get across this canyon.
That desire to cross the canyon remains strong today, with people from all parts of the Hazelton area crossing for work and school and day-to-day activities.
We have approximately 3,000 people on this side of the river. We have 100 logging trucks a day that cross this river. We have the hospital, the high school, all medical services for the Hazelton area. And if this bridge is closed down, as it has been, this is the third major closure in less than a year. We have several more closures we've heard rumors about. If the bridge is closed, we're stranded here.
So now plans are in place both to retrofit the existing suspension bridge and to at least design a new crossing a couple of kilometers downstream. But Mayor Maitland says there's a need for more than just plans.
Those are good plans. The plans are wonderful. What we'd like to see is some action. So we've written and written and written, and we do always get answers, but to Victoria, a one-lane bridge in a small community like Hazelton doesn't seem to be as crucial, but to our community it is really a crucial crossing. If this bridge were to break down and we couldn't go across it, the nearest one is 40 miles down the highway at Kitwingaw with a back road that's in very bad repair. And for emergencies, this hospital is the only hospital in this area. So it leaves people with, stranded. It's a necessary lifeline to keep us together. People from the other side of the river work in Hazelton. People from Hazelton work on the other side of the river. The resources on this side of the river, the manufacturing on that side. It's just necessary that we be able to cross this river.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Open Connection. The greatest distance in the existence of man is not from here to there, but the connection to his mind to his heart. If we can conquer that distance, we can soar like an eagle and realize our mastery within. I'm Robert Pictou.